The Arsenal disrespect is officially back in business. For me, this is absolutely obscene. It's obscene. And I'm talking about this from a rival fan. We're going to break down the media, fans, rival fans, the social media narrative now about Arsenal after Manchester City's win against Tottenham. For me, is absolutely obscene. I'm going to be honest. For me, it's crazy. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video. Big up to everyone. We just hit 6,000 subscribers, and now we're on the way to 6,200. So make sure you go down, hit that subscribe button, and drop a like on the video. Now, looking at this going into the last weekend of the Premier League season, the likelihood of Manchester City lifting the Premier League trophy has been significantly increased due to their 2-0 win away against Tottenham. Now, as it stands, Manchester City are on 88 points, Arsenal are on 86. You know, Manchester City have scored more goals now. They've closed their gap on the goal difference, and they're currently 2 points ahead, and they play West Ham at home on Sunday in the Premier League at 4 o'clock, as well as Arsenal play Everton. All of a sudden now, because the likelihood, it's not certain, it's not 100% going to happen, but the likelihood is now that Manchester City will win the Premier League. The disrespect on Arsenal, and look, I have no dog in this fight. I have no horse in this race. I am a Tottenham fan looking at this logically, because on this channel, we have no bias. We try to give an honest opinion. Sometimes we get criticised. Sometimes we get praised, and that's life. But this Arsenal team has been practically unbelievable throughout majority of this season, for 90% of this Premier League season. 37 games played, 27 wins, 7 draws, 3 defeats for Manchester City. For Arsenal, 37 games played, 27 wins, 5 draws, 5 defeats. There's 4 goals in it between Arsenal and Manchester City. Arsenal have the best defence, the best goal difference. The last game they lost, you know, I believe they've won something like, if they win against Everton, they would have won 12 of their last 14 games. You know, the last Premier League defeat they had on the 14th of April. Before that, you're looking at January. They've had 2 Premier League defeats since the turn of the year. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I think the rough numbers are. Since they've come back from the Dubai kind of time off they had, everyone has been nothing but complimentary to Arsenal, saying how brilliant they've been, because they have been. They've been very, very strong throughout 90% of the Premier League season. And there is no shame losing to Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. You're talking about the best manager in the world, the best squad in the world, the best director of football in Tixi Berkenstein in the world, Kevin De Bruyne, Foden, Haaland. The talent they have got in that squad is simply generational. They've got probably the best defensive midfielder in the world in Rodri, some of the best defenders, some of the best attack. Their team is an absolute joke. But Arsenal have pushed them to the very, 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 very end. You know, Jurgen Klopp lost the Premier League title race by 1 point. But Jurgen Klopp is basically regarded as one of the greatest managers the Premier League's ever seen. Yet, the guy only won 1 Premier League trophy, which is less than Jose, Wenger, Ferguson. It's the same amount as Ancelotti and Kenny Dalglish. Now, of course, context needs to be applied. Jurgen Klopp took over a Liverpool team that was absolutely dusted and took them all the way to winning a Champions League and a Premier League. But when you speak about Jurgen Klopp, the narrative is immediately, oh, he's a great manager. Arsenal have won an FA Cup, have been in 2 title races in the 4 years he's been there, and genuinely have looked very, very strong this season. If they win on Sunday against Everton, and Man City win on Sunday against West Ham, they've lost a Premier League title by 2 points. By 2 points. Like last season, the Premier League was won by 5 points. So there's obviously progress there. The season before that, it was 1 point between City and Liverpool. The season before that, Manchester City won it by 12 points. The season before that, 19-20, Liverpool won it by 17 points. 18-19, Manchester City won it by a point. You know, 17-18, Man City won it by 19 points. And 16-17, Chelsea beat Tottenham by 7 points. So to lose to the greatest manager in the world and arguably the greatest manager of all time by 2 Premier League points, to call this a flop, to want Arteta out, for me, is absolutely mad. What I will say is next season, Arteta has to win a big major honour. And that's no disrespect to Mikel Arteta, but you can't go and spend, let's say they're doing another 150, 200 million this summer, which is what all the reports are saying, which, let's be honest, quite easily could happen when you look at their Champions League revenue, their Premier League revenue, their TV money. That would be 850 million pounds spent under Arteta. And so far, the only trophy they have won is an FA Cup. Now, of course, you can bring in context. Chelsea have spent $1 billion in 3 years or whatever it is, but their team is nowhere near the level Arsenal is. You know, I think at this moment in time, Mauricio Pochettino is not as good manager as Arteta. I think Arteta has brought in some brilliant signings, the likes of White, Rice, Gabriel, you know, Martin Odegaard. They've made some absolutely brilliant signings. For them, it's about just trying to strengthen. You are up against the team to beat. Let's be honest, they probably should have beaten Real Madrid, and you're talking about one of the only teams in football ever to potentially do 2 back-to-back trebles. I think the closest anyone has been is when Johan Cruyff's Ajax side in the Eredivisie in the 70s, or the 80s, sorry, I think they won 3 Champions Leagues in a row, but one of those years he did a treble, and one of those years he did a double, which is what Manchester City, funny enough, could do this season. Like, they've made huge progress this year. Everyone thought that last year was going to be a one-off. It was going to be the anomaly. It was going to be, you know, Arsenal can't go and do it again. And they've proven a lot of people wrong this year. You know, as it stands, there is 2 points between Arsenal and Manchester City. The gap between Arsenal and Liverpool is 7 points. The gap between Arsenal and Aston Villa is 18 points. And the gap between Arsenal and Spurs, who are in 5th, is 23 points. You know, it's going to be a 2-horse race next season and potentially the season after. But Arsenal do need to get over the line. You know, 2 things can be right at once. You can critique when there should be criticism, in my opinion. But right now, I don't think the criticism is valid. They are going in the right direction, in my opinion. They've made lots of good signings in the last few years. Now they probably need to get rid of a couple of players. Nketiah, Jesus could probably go. Zinchenko. You bring in Timber, let him get a few months under his belt at an Arsenal shirt, because let's be honest, he didn't really go to plan last season, or this season, sorry, because of his big injury. But I just don't buy the narrative that Arteta should be sacked. I don't buy the narrative that Arsenal are in the mud, or that the media at the moment is criticizing Arteta. And yeah, sometimes the criticism can be justified because of certain tactics or in-game management hasn't gone to plan. But as it stands right now, Arsenal are in a very strong position. They're better than 19 teams in the Premier League. And the only team you're not better than currently is about to win its 4th Premier League title on the bounce and 6 Premier League titles in 7 years. Like, I don't think people understand how strong this Manchester City side is, and they're only 2 points ahead of Arsenal. You know, Man City narrowly won the league, not once, but twice, by beating Liverpool by 1 point. But eventually, Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool got over the line. Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool won the Champions League, won 2 League Cups, an FA Cup, a Super Cup, a Club World Cup. I think, if I'm going to be completely and brutally honest, I think the disrespect is absolutely insane. Genuinely, I think it's absolutely insane. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's mad, absolutely mad. If I'm being honest, make sure you get your comments in down below. I'm gonna be very intrigued to see the reaction on this video. Big up for the 6,000 subscribers. We're now pushing 7,000, which is absolutely insane. We've had something like, I believe, 16 or maybe 1,700 new subscribers this month, which is absolutely ridiculous. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like I said, for Arsenal, it's about getting into the summer transfer window. It's about potentially buying a number 9, whether that's going to be Isak. You know, they probably need to bring in a DM because Rice is now in this advanced 8 role and Thomas Partey is looking to leave, or potentially going to leave. Jorginho's just signed a new contract. But yeah, we're coming up to the very last game of the Premier League. Arsenal haven't bottled it, and I do think the disrespect is a little bit bonkers, to be honest with you. Make sure you get your comments in down below. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.